All right, welcome back to the Market Day Report. I'm Scott Schulte, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. Thanks for tuning in if you're just tuning in. And thanks for being with us all day. It's been worth it. We've had lots to talk about. We will continue to do so. We're going to wrap it all up from 1 Central and 2 Eastern for about a half hour after everything closes up at MDR. We're going to talk about the closes on that show. That's my show, the Cow Guy Close. Tune in and take a look at what we've got to talk about. We go into in-depth about what's been happening around these markets, as well as give you those closing prices in the grains. Let's talk about those grains real quick. How about corn? Let's take a look at that corn market, because that market is your money. March, 8 cents lower at 6.28 even. About 6 cents off the lows, 5 cents off the lows. But look at this. We've got Dees corn up at 5.72, right? 5 cents off the highs, and it's a higher board out there. So the new crops still got some strength. How about let's take a look at soybeans. What do we have happening there? Soybeans up 20.5 cents in March, 14.90.5. That's some good going. May up solid double digits, 21 cents even, 14.96.5. So that's a good board. Let's take a look at what's going on in wheat. This is not a good board. This is Chicago wheat, off 18.25 cents, 7.68, 5 cents off the lows. But look at that. We were 30 cents higher at some point overnight. May off 18.5 cents at 7.72.5. All right, how about the hard red wheat in Kansas City? What's that look like today? 16.25 cents lower in the March contract there. 7.86 is last. 15.5 cents lower in May. 7.89 last. Those are about 3.5, 4 cents off the lows. We'll keep an eye on that for you. Spring wheat in Minneapolis, 13 cents lower in that March contract to 907.25. May stands at 904.25, which is also 13 cents lower. But the one strong market, this one's on a rocket shot, a 330 points higher in the March contract to 127.06 in cotton. Look at that. Just almost made new highs there. We've got a 4 cent range. That's huge in cotton. We've got big ranges and everything today. For our next range chat, let's talk with Todd Horwitz from Bubba Trading. Todd, big ranges, lots going on in those outside markets too. Really nowhere to hide today. It's kind of volatile across the board.
You know, Scott, it's one of the wildest days we've seen in a long time. I mean, when's the last time you saw a 20-cent range in corn on both sides of the market? I mean, you're seeing some very wild action. You mentioned wheat was up 30 overnight and now down 18. Soybeans have been pretty strong the entire time. That's interesting. And I think they I think they all look pretty good. I think this may be some end of the month marking kind of stuff. You see the equities are flying higher again today after Friday's dramatic recovery, and they were lower again overnight, this last night, and have come back again. Suddenly, I guess, on January 31st, everything in the world, in the equity world, is okay now, and we've solved all the problems. There's no more inflation and nothing to worry about. So I think this is probably a little bit tied into the end of the month. You've got, some equity rallies taking away some of the grain profits. And, of course, I'm buying new jeans, so cotton is going to the moon.
Right, well, tell you what, if I start buying jeans, then there's going to be a shortage of cotton across the globe. Omar, the tent maker, I just lay down, and he'll just trace around me. That's how I get my jeans made. All right, Todd, one question for you. If we start to see these food and fuel prices really start to take off here, I mean, there could be an issue with crude oil, and obviously you've seen what's happening in those prices I just gave you. Could that be canceling out these rate hikes that the Fed wants to start with?
Well, I don't think so, Scott. I think that, again, this is getting the Fed is going to get so far behind the curve, which they are. And I guess that's what you're actually saying. They're so far behind the curve already. They should have been raising for years now, and we should be at normalized rates, especially with what's going on, and we're not. And that is the problem. And so certainly a massive move up in these prices could be very detrimental to everybody. And I think this is and I think it's probably actually going to show up.
All right, well, hold that great thought. Thank you. We're going to go away, pay some bills, and come back and talk livestock with Todd Horwitz from Bubba Trading after these messages. Welcome back to Market Day Report. I'm Scott Schulte, otherwise known as the Cow Guy. And the Cow Guy can be reached at Scott the Cow Guy, Twitter, at Scott the Cow Guy. That's where you can get a hold of me. You can see what other shots I do, other media stuff I do. I write for some Midwestern newspapers. You can catch it all there. And if you've got a comment, by all means, let me know, good or bad. I'm here for you guys, and I want to know what your thoughts are. All right, let's take a look at what's going on in this live cattle market. The Cow Guy wants to take a look at live cattle. February, up $1.27. This is a good board. 139.97 is last, bumping up against the highs there in that Feb live cattle market. April's up $1.67 to 144.77. And again, that too is close to the high. So those are good prices in live cattle. And they've kind of climbed all day. Let's see what's going on in feeders. They're benefiting from a lower corn board. March up $3.42 at 163.05. Again, close to the high of the day there. April up $3.12 at 168.42, and that's a dime off the highs in April. That's a good board as well. Let's take a look at lean hogs. What do we have happening there? This is higher, just a little bit. Eking out a gain in Feb, 52 cents higher. 88.45 is last. While April's up $1.12 at 96.05. All right, let's bring back in Todd Horwitz from Bubba Trading in Chicago. Todd, what are your thoughts here on these livestock prices?
Listen, I think they look really good, Scott. You know, we've been watching them and been very pleased with the action. I mean, you know, look, I think, you know, going back to your earlier point, if these prices really explode, who can afford them? You know, we have, you know, spiking prices with lower income, with lower wages net, and we have nominal interest rates that are negative, and a CPI that is exploding, and it's not even, and they're not even admitting to half the explosion. So, you know, again, right now everything looks really solid, and I could see continued higher prices. But at some point, something's got to give, as they say, and I'm afraid that, you know, with crude oil rising and everything else going higher, our core cost, it could impact the high-end protein, which would be cattle.
Yeah, it'll be, you know, we're kind of in this conundrum. I mean, it's like if you can find it at your grocery store, a lot of times you can't even get a lot of these products at the grocery store. People are quite happy to pay the price because they just want to get it, right? They're not going to wait and see if it comes down in price. They snap it up pretty quick. So they're really not price sensitive right now. Would you agree with that?
I agree 100%. And I think the other thing is you just mentioned one of the most important things is, you know, I've had to do a lot of grocery shopping since when I'm in Vegas, and the shelves are getting empty. And they're not getting empty because the stores are packed and crowded. They're getting empty because they can't get the stuff, the goods there, because we got no help to deliver. We've got no supply chain, which is another problem coming down the road. So I hate to leave you in bad news, but that's part of it.
Well, there you go. That's where we're gonna have to leave it. That's a whole other show we can do on supply chains. I really appreciate it. That's Todd Horwitz. Thank you very much, Todd, for coming on the show. He's with Bubba Trading. We'll bring it back to Nashville so I can give it over to Janet.